My name is Claudia and I'm with IDX. Today is Manifest Expo Day 1. Today we'll be discussing with senior thought leaders and partners about the supply chain ecosystem. Let's connect on idxtv.com for more comprehensive coverage. Let's talk. My name is Claudia and I'm with IDX. We are here at Manifest Expo 2025 at the Venetian Sands in Las Vegas. I am here with Nick. Nick, how are you today?
I'm great, Claudia. How are you?
I'm excellent, excellent. So thank you so much for joining us. Nick, tell me a little bit, we did speak briefly, just tell me a little bit about, what you're doing now. You're consulting, you're with ShipX?
ShipX, yep.
ShipX?
So Chief Revenue Officer for ShipX. Mm-hmm. We are a last mile delivery company, been around for about 5 years now. And the goal is really to compete on a, call it regional, national level with FedEx and UPS and OnTrack and some of the other last mile carriers that are in the industry. The goal is kind of be, small enough to care, but big enough to scale. So really give you that kind of like small business feel, but still be able to cover, all your shipments nationwide.
Well, awesome. So, I do know that you have coined the name Godfather of Logistics, which I think is absolutely brilliant. How did you come up with it? Like, why do you think yourself as such? I mean, I know that you are, but
I actually didn't think of myself as it. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke at a cigar party that I was invited to, like a networking event. The guy who ran the event, Tony Peck, he was the godfather of Instagram, or so he self-proclaimed it as. And so I just kind of was like, he was like, what would you consider yourself the godfather of? Well, I'm like, well, I've done 17 years in logistics in most modes. And he's like, well, why don't you be godfather of logistics? And so I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot, and then I just put it on LinkedIn and kind of just ran with it.
Yeah, I remember seeing it and I was like, you know what, that's quite something. But you know what, he kind of nails it. Like, Nick does look like the godfather of logistics, got some Brando going. So Nick, being in logistics in the supply chain industry for 17 years and counting, where do you see it going with all this regulation and tariffs? And it's a nightmare for a lot of people, but just give me your input and how it's going to affect your business overall.
I mean, it's not going to necessarily affect us as much from the domestic side. I mean, maybe a little bit because stuff's getting caught in China, but I do think cooler heads will prevail. And I think that to make any kind of rush knee-jerk reaction right now would be silly. So I think hang tight. And, there's been delays in pretty much all of the different tariffs and they're negotiating. So it's a negotiation tactic by this administration. Whether you agree with it politically or not, it's a tactic. We'll see if it's effective. But ultimately, I do believe the U.S. Will come out, benefiting. Will that mean that it's just the government benefiting? Who knows? But, I mean, obviously a tariff is still an impact to a consumer. And any impact to a consumer ultimately is an impact to potential sales and revenue, which could then affect, retailers, all these 3PLs that did this Section 321, and they spent all this time and money on strategizing with Section 321. But I have consulted on 321 a lot last year, and I literally said this exact thing, like wait on investing millions of dollars in this strategy because it may only be temporary, because depending on who is going to be in the White House would determine on how long that strategy would last. So, ultimately, I think it's a wait and see. It's nerve-wracking for a lot of people, especially if, I guess it's good if you're in customs brokerage because business is booming and your phone is going to ring off the hook because people are going to want to have that in place. But I think for 3PLs, for shipping companies, for international shipping companies, everybody's kind of holding their collective breath, and we'll see what happens. Right. I mean, I think it would be wrong of anyone to advise on any type of strategy until the lines and everything is settled in terms of what those tariffs will be, if any, and what those agreements look like. Once that happens, then we know it's going to be in place at least till, the next election, and you make your strategy there.
Right. And so, I know that, here at Manifest, a lot of people are going to be talking about this, of course, holding their bills real tight. What are you looking at taking away from Manifest, as well as what are you looking to contribute to it?
I mean, contributing wise, really want to help folks simplify their last mile delivery options. I think, dealing with the big guys is not always easy, and you kind of need an encyclopedia to deal with whatever fees and everything they have. Working with us, it's basically, here's your rate, here's the fuel surcharge, here's one or two different surcharges, that's it. So that's the benefit of what we're going to provide and contribute. And then in terms of what I'm looking to do is really to partner with folks that have the same mindset of really, enhancing the customer experience. A lot of people really are in it for just, hey, we want some business, whatever. I really am passionate about the customer experience. I've been, I started out at DHL, and honestly, that's kind of what, everything they did was the customers at the center of everything we do, right? So, I mean, I think as long as you're acting that way and you're kind of doing business that way, things will just come to you.
Right. Well, that's excellent. You have a lot of value, and definitely in terms of contributing to manifest into the logistics industry overall. And in terms of working with IDX and that partnership, what do you think that could bring you?
I mean, I think anytime you have a platform where you can be able to reach people and they can hear your message, I don't see any negative in that, right? I mean, if they're it doesn't matter what it is, IDX or any type of media company. I mean, that's the reality. The more the platform reaches people and people can hear and brings in potential, business and also partnerships, there's always a benefit to that.
Right. Every single person is an opportunity. It does not matter what.
Correct.
Well, that's great. And so, in terms of, what are you looking forward to the most at Manifest? Is there like a type of talk that you want to go to, or thing that you want to see, or do you have any expectations?
I'm interested to hear Maya Benson's talk on tariffs, because she's very smart. She's worked at Shopify before. She's worked at Pitney Bowes. She's worked at quite a few companies where she's developed a really kind of expertise in that space. She's at Flavor Cloud now. I'm curious to see her take. I know she's posted a little bit on LinkedIn about it, but looking forward to that. Other than that, I mean, I'll try to get to a few talks, but I'm more of like, hey, give me the videotape on that. I really want to be amongst people and networking. Having this many really great minds in one place, I think you'd be selling yourself short to, pick a few talks you want to go to, but really try to just have as many meaningful conversations and connections. I don't think you should, to me at conferences, I don't really look at it as a place to close business. I look at it as a place to build relationships, and then eventually that manifests into, no pun intended, that manifests into business, right? So that's always been my approach, and really, obviously, follow up is key with that. If you're not scheduling another meeting while you're talking with someone, they're probably not interested. So, everybody's got their calendar right in front of them, right? If it's like, hey, you want to meet next Thursday at 2, and they're like, no, maybe email me. It's like, I'll put them on the list of, hey, I'll talk to you at some point, but it's not gonna. It's not hot, right? So you have to really prioritize. It's system overload here. So I mean, at the end of the day, you really can't. You got to be. I would say quality over quantity too. Right? You got to be careful, spread yourself too thin, because there's the show, but then there's the events after the show, and
that's right.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's like chaos, right? So you really got to pace yourself. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right, and I know that the Manifest attendees are quite the partiers.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're taking it easy tonight for sure.
I hope so.
Gotta rest.
Hope so. Yeah.
Gotta rest Tuesday and Wednesday.
Ready.
Yep.
Well, that's great. And Nick, what else do you have planned on the agenda this year? Like, what's your next show?
We go into Shop Talk, so I'll be back here in a month.
Okay, I'll definitely see you at Shop Talk.
Yep. And then, honestly, I always go Parcel Forum. Probably do Sub Summit. That's a really good show. Really, if you're looking to get into subscription programs and work with companies that are in subscription, it's a really good community show. Happen to know the guys who run it very well. I've been to most of their shows. They're really good guys. They've really built a really good community. And I believe Manifest is kind of doing the same thing in the logistics space.
Absolutely.
Shop Talk kind of started the inspiration, I think, for both of them. I don't know if they would necessarily admit that, but when you look at the way the formats of the shows go, but Shop Talk's kind of gotten to the point where it's like, it really is like overload. Like anybody, even if you're outgoing, you're kind of not intimidated, but you're just like, holy cow. It's like CES too. Like CES is the same way.
Yeah, it's a giant.
So you just kind of got to pick what you're going to do. So like Shop Talk, to me, it's like, hey, concentrate on some of the meetings, go to a few events, but you pace yourself there. Here, I think it's a little more focused. I like the format better. And I think Sub Summit's a very similar format to this, and it's not as big as Shop Talk, but I think your impact could be larger because it's community based.
Yeah, it's more niche.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, I do want to thank you so much for your time today. It's been really wonderful to catch up with
Thank you.
after so long.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Well, it was Manifest last year, right?
I know it was. I mean, two peas in a pod.
different places, different
Like
so, yeah.
completely different situations,
Yep.
and it's meant to be.
Yep.
Well, thank you again,
No
and
problem.
I hope that you find everything that you're looking for at Manifest. And for the rest of everyone tuning in, join us for our continuous interviews for the next 2 days. Again, we're at Manifest Expo 2025. My name is Claudia. This is Nick. We'll see you later.